Welcome back to our channel. I want to thank you for joining. The geopolitical environment continues to shift faster, and in this episode we are looking how the country of South Sudan is struggling to stand up to the United States of America geostrategically and making its own point where it feels the pressure. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because the leaders in the country of South Sudan are mute and they are very concerned and confused, so to put it in that way, because the United States of America's court has moved forward to order the sending away or deportation of certain immigrants from the United States of America. They are on the deportation list. However, there is a huge concern that there are some people, some individuals, some nationals who are on that same list who are not nationals of South Sudan, to point out. So this is a major concern, and it has gone to a point where if you look at the facilities in South Sudan, they are not able to, based on media reports, to hold the capacity of those individuals who are coming. The South Sudanese police people are preparing on how to basically accommodate this individual. But there is a big problem there because
the U.S. Supreme Court has cleared the way for the deportation of several migrants to South Sudan, a country which most of them have no ties to.
A federal judge in Massachusetts said Wednesday the Trump administration's deportation of 8 migrants, quote, unquestionably violates a court order blocking deportations to third countries without allowing detainees to contest their removal. The Department of Homeland Security did not confirm the whereabouts of the flight, which left from Texas Tuesday, but immigration lawyers say they were told it was headed for war-torn South Sudan. The State Department has issued a warning for Americans not to travel there due to violent crime, kidnapping, and armed conflict. DHS officials say the 8 men were in the U.S. illegally and came from Cuba, Laos, Mexico, Myanmar, South Sudan, and Vietnam. A spokesperson defended the administration's decision to deport them Wednesday, claiming they're convicted criminals.
The prisons in South Sudan are jam-packed, and it was a capacity, according to news media, for 500 people. But now they are seeing over 2,000 already. So the congestion there is not something that can be written home about. So the people of South Sudan are very concerned on why this particular decision, bringing in people from other countries that don't belong to that nation, how they are going to go ahead with the processing. And this is a big problem with regards to this relationship with the United States of America. These are amazing and challenging times in the global community, and South Sudan is in a play at the moment. But more importantly, South Sudanese officials are silent. They are not able to talk. They are afraid to talk about what they feel about this particular decision by the United States of America and bringing in people from countries or nationals who are not citizens there for one reason, because they are afraid that they won't travel again to the United States of America. So how amazing that can be, and that the reason why we keep talking about this particular collaboration and engagement with Africans and the United States of America's own particular move in terms of immigration. It is a big question that international experts are questioning why this move to the country of South Sudan, because South Sudan does not have the capacity to hold those individuals coming in, but the country pretends as if they are able. To have more context on this, let's go to CGTN that gave us some insight in regards to this particular episode. Let's roll the clip.
The U.S. Supreme Court has cleared the way for the deportation of several migrants to South Sudan, a country which most of them have no ties to. The 8 migrants, including from Vietnam, Mexico, and Cuba, had been put on a flight in May bound for South Sudan. The plane was later detoured to a naval base in Djibouti following an injunction by a U.S. federal judge. The men, who have all been convicted of serious crimes in the United States, have been detained there since. In Thursday's ruling, the Supreme Court's conservative majority found that immigration officials can quickly deport people to third countries. The decision holds an order that allowed immigrants to challenge any removals to countries outside their homeland where they could be in danger. It comes amid a sweeping immigration crackdown by Trump's administration, which has pledged to deport millions of people who are living in the United States illegally. Patrick Oyet is in Juba and joins us now with more. Patrick, what has been the reaction in Juba on the court's decision, and what have the authorities said?
Yeah, the reaction here, especially the ordinary South Sudanese people, are actually concerned because they say these are criminals, and if America, a great nation, is actually fearing them to stay in the U.S., why would they be brought here? This is what many ordinary South Sudanese people are talking about. However, when it comes to the government officials, especially the political class, they have been very quiet about this, and many don't want to talk about this. This is because of the revocation of the visas that were done prior to this deportation by the U.S., and also because of the total ban on South Sudanese to now get visa to go to the U.S. This has threatened away people, so the political class don't want to talk about this. But we understand that there is an agreement, and these people can easily come to Juba any moment. But the police also in May talked to us, and the police said they were preparing in case these deportees come to Juba. However, there are really challenges in Juba, especially in the prisons, because, for example, in the Juba prisons, the prison is meant for 500 people, but authorities tell us it is now accommodating more than 2,000 people. So there is congestion, facilities are not there. So I am sure that those people who are coming going to be deported here, they'll be in shock because the facilities here are just not good enough. Back to you.
Make no mistake, every nation, including the United States of America, whether in the continent of Africa or Europe, in Asia, have the right to protect its borders and, more importantly, make a decision on those who have to stay in the country or those who are living there illegally should go to other countries or go back to their own nation.
Every single one of them was convicted of a heinous crime. While we are fully compliant with the law and court orders, it is absolutely absurd for a district judge to try to dictate the foreign policy and national security of the United States of America.
District Judge Brian Murphy previously ruled the government must allow detainees to either consent to their removal or be given the chance to challenge it. Attorneys for the Justice Department say the judge's order was, quote, not specific enough, which led to a misunderstanding.
However, sending people to a country where it's not of their own nationals and putting the other countries or the receiving nations under due stress, it's a wake-up call for how international partnership and collaboration should be worked. I think South Sudan is not ready. They have no capacity. They are very concerned. The police there is not properly trained to deal with situations like this, and these are issues that a number of countries across the region understand the difficulties, those who have experienced situations like this. So South Sudan is in total panic and they don't know what to do so far. And more importantly, the officials are silent just because of the visa. So visa is something that has become so important than their own freedom to talk about what they are facing. So this is the big problem with these small countries in the continent of Africa who are dealing with major superpowers like the United States of America. It is about time for them to speak out what the situation is. But again, CGTN covered it more detailedly to explain that this is a problem that is not just limited to South Sudan, but more importantly, the South Sudan country is not ready for this. Let's roll the clip.
Yeah, Patrick, do we know what will happen to the men when they arrive? You talked about police saying they've been making preparations. What kind of preparations have been made?
Well, the police say they are preparing to receive them and to take them to the facility, which means basically to take them to prison, because according to the law, if anybody is extradited to South Sudan or brought to South Sudan when they have committed a crime, especially in a South Sudan territory, that includes if South Sudan has a plane or a ship or any offense that is criminal in South Sudan, then they are supposed to be taken to prison. So the only place that these deportees will be taken to is actually prison, where they will have to serve their terms in the prison. And the prisons have really challenges. That is, imagine the capital, in the capital Juba, is where it is designed for about 500 people and it has more than 2,000 people. You can imagine what is happening in the States. It's even worse. The conditions are really worse. And it is very difficult. It is also at a time when the South Sudan is undergoing economic crisis. So feeding those prisoners is a challenge. So definitely the deportees are going to be in a very big shock when they arrive to South Sudan. Many South Sudanese are concerned that this may even promote crime in the country, but the political class are still quiet about it.
If this is how we conduct international collaboration and partnership, then there will be an issue. So if going to the United States now has become more important and officials of a government of a country are silent or are afraid to talk about what they think or what they perceive, the deportation of nationals and citizens who are not of their own nation, then they can't talk about it, then there is a bigger concern. Of course, those who are from South Sudan, who are in the United States of America illegally, should be deported if that's what the law says there. But again, if you are deporting individuals, nationals, to countries which they do not belong, how do they go to their other nations? How do they travel? You don't know if they have the budget, if they have the financing, if the receiving government have the required financing. So you are putting these countries under looking at difficulties that South Sudan is going through, already looking at the situation in Sudan, and more importantly, the economy. And if you look at the regional prisons in the country, that according to news media, are jam-packed. This we are talking about is in Juba. So if Juba is facing the difficulties, it means the situation in other regional or provincial cities across the country, the situation should be worse there. So this particular move by the United States of America should be reviewed, and more importantly, the Sudanese officials should come out and stake their position on where they stand with regards to the deportation. I want to thank you for watching. Hopefully I've given you some context between the United States of America and the country of South Sudan, why South Sudan feel that this move by the United States of America is uncut. It will be, of course, an issue with regards to how they handle these individuals, because it's going to be a problem. It's going to be an issue for the country of South Sudan. They do not have the resources, they don't have the finances, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the manpower to deal with this particular unforeseen situation. Of course, they should have capacity for their own nationals who have been living illegally in the country of the United States of America. But more importantly, things like this, moves like this, goes a long way to wake up nations that at this moment you have to start working out to build your own capacity, your own systems, and your own nations, to give relevance and also opportunities to your nationals and citizens who can stay back home. Of course, I'm not saying that you're going to stop people from traveling to go on with their aspirations to see the world, but again, the governments at the moment should wake up and know that there's been a huge shift in North America, and at this time African nations should be on their own, and they should work more collaboratively to make sure that they can survive in this challenging time in the geopolitical environment. For now, I will be looking forward to meeting you soon. Hopefully South Sudan can sort out this with the United States of America, and at this moment they know what to do. Have a good day. Bye-bye.